All right, thanks, everybody. We have a quorum. We're gonna call the meeting to order. I didn't ask anybody. I've been kind of running around at the legislature, so I forgot. To ask anybody to do the welcoming protocol. But since we have a newbie on our board, maybe he can give us his words of wisdom on the fly.
This is his test.
This is for those of you, just to be more formal about it, and it's gonna actually be part of my chair report. We received notification from the chair that our former attorney, Ryan Kanako-Ole, has now been appointed to be a board member representing the slot given to the DLNR. So welcome, Ryan. We appreciate all the work that you did as an attorney, and we'll announce who his replacement is, and we're lucky to have his replacement also. But with that, maybe we can just use that suffice as a welcoming statement, unless Ryan, you want to say anything.
Well, put me on the spot, yeah. So I'll just roll this into introduction of this, because I really did an introduction before when I came on as the board counsel, but I think it's important for the board as well as the public to know who I am, since I'm new. But generally, I think that the ability to serve the public is a privilege that we all have. And the ability to serve on this board particularly is an honor. Just like when I was asked to be counsel for the board before, in my position now, I was asked to fill a need, and I did it not only because of myself, my sense of service, but also my love for my home island. And I think I share that with all of you on the board. And I hope I can build on what my predecessor Laura has already done, help us move forward. Background on myself: I was raised in Waihinu, in the Moko Ka'u, Hawaii Island. I live in Palolo now, with my wife, Kaito Ka'amaloa, and my two children, Mamani and Jorge. I put them up front in my intro because that's my world between work and my family. That's it. Always my home, even though I live on Oahu. And throughout my career, I've always taken advantage of being involved in economic development, community stewardship. I'm a proud graduate of Kamehameha School. I had a proud graduate at the University of Hawaii on Hilo. I also obtained my law degree with an emphasis in Native Hawaiian law from Richardson School of Law. I'm a career public servant. Before my appointment to this position that I'm in now, as first deputy for DLNR, I was, as you know, your attorney for this board. Mahalo, Jordan, for taking over. And I was also the attorney for the Hawaii Housing and Financial Development Corporation. And previously to that, I was the lead attorney for the Department of Finance. I've litigated cases at all levels of the state courts, from district court to the Supreme Court, as well as the U.S. District Court, Bankruptcy Court, U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I'm also appointed to the Public Land Trust Working Group. I was first appointed by Governor Ige, and then I was reappointed by Governor Lee. Before that, I was at the State Office of the Auditor. One of the audits that I'm proud of was the audit of DLNRs and the University of Hawaii's management of Mauna Kea. Prior to that, I was working as a deputy corporation counsel for the county of Hawaii in land use areas. So my career has always been focused on stewardship of land, stewardship of the government, stewardship of land, government stewardship of resources, the government stewardship of funds. I'm bringing that into my work again, because we need to be good stewards of all the things that we've inherited from the generations before. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're indeed fortunate to have Ryan on our board, with his vast experience, as well as his commitment to the INA and to the Mauna. So thank you, Ryan, for being part of us. The only thing is that you have now affected the average age of members, the average age of the members of this board, and you and some of the others have kind of lowered the average age of this board membership. But anyway, thank you very much for sharing. We look forward to working with you as the newest member. With that, I'm going to open up. We don't have any public comments on any agenda items, correct? Thank you. With that, we'll move to the approval of the minutes. If could get a motion to approve the minutes, or if there are any changes. So move. Can I get a second? Thank you. Before we vote, can I get confirmation? Is there anybody that's sitting there with someone else in the room? Those that are remote? Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, then we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the January 11th meeting. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Unanimous, thank you. So with the chair's report, we've already introduced Ryan. So maybe what we can do is we now have a new hotshot attorney. I told Ryan, the one thing I told him is that now that you're a board member, make sure you get the best that the Attorney General can bring. So he has gotten us Jordan Ching, and Jordan, maybe you can give us just a brief background so that the board members can know who you are.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Chair. And yeah, I really have, as Ryan has outlined, I have a very big shoes to fill. He has, an immense amount of experience, and but I am likewise honored to take on this role in the Deputy Attorney General as counsel for this board. Just a brief background. I'm a relatively new to this office. I am part of the. I also advise the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. I started last April. Before that, I was in private practice. I worked at firms that I worked at various firms, and I also, to start my legal career, I clerked for the courts, for the Circuit Court of the First Circuit Court of the State of Hawaii, and managing criminal calendar, and I also clerked for now Justice Skinoza while she was in the Court of Appeal, Intermediate Court of Appeals. So it's just a brief background on me. Likewise, I have an appreciation for public work, and I was looking for an opportunity and to help certainly the state at large, but this particular, I went to Richardson, and I did also have a certificate in Native Hawaiian law, so I have an appreciation for this particular area of law, and I'm looking forward to advising the council. The board as best as I can.
Thank you. Thanks, Jordan. We look forward to working with you also. So welcome on board. As you guys know, Jordan has filled in over the past couple of meetings when Ryan had a conflict. So he is familiar with the issues that we've been discussing, and as a running start to assist us. So with that, I'm going to move on to providing a report. The Senate Higher Education Committee had a hearing recently regarding the Sunshine Bill. What the invitees to that hearing were the University of Hawaii Board of Regents, the University of Hawaii administration, the Office of Information Practices, the Attorney General, and Mauna Kea Board. The majority of the meeting dealt with the problems that the regents are having with the Sunshine Law and their inability to kind of discuss things. And there was a big discussion about whether or not they could have brought 6 people to this hearing or not. Whether the hearing constitutes a legal definition for meeting. The regents talked about the difficulties they have in sharing this information. For example, Governor Abercrombie, who is a regent now, talked about the fact that he circulated an article about collegiate athletics to the remaining regents, and I don't know exactly the wording that he put for that particular circulation, but he said he got chastised for breaching the Sunshine Law by just sharing an article. So the senators were very interested in some of the practical problems that the law has created in terms of operational challenges. I shared some of the challenges that we have as a board, especially as a working board, trying to stand up a new state agency about how communication was very difficult as we tried to work through some of these issues. I also brought up the fact that and this was my own personal opinion, that we are one of the reasons we are where we are today with Mauna Kea was the breakdown in communication. So that in my opinion, anytime you want to solve a problem, generally the first thing you have to do is increase communication rather than decrease communication. So I pointed that out to them. At the end of the day, having had that hearing and the senators that expressed opinions wanting to do something, the Attorney General on behalf of the regents has apparently crafted a bill that would take care of the regents' concerns. What we have done, and I was going to actually talk about it at a later point, is that we have also crafted a bill that would allow us a partial exemption on sunshine during the transition period only. And what that bill would do would allow us to meet not solicit votes, not predetermined issues, but would allow us to meet more informally to talk among ourselves. But the caveat is, and what I told everyone is that we believe strongly in being transparent. We believe strongly that only agendized matters should be brought before this board. We also strongly believe that there should be no predetermination of any issues by and among the board members, and that we should have full and complete discussion on any issue that's brought, full and complete public discussion about anything that's brought before this board. Having said that, just some of the operational challenges as well as the problem-solving issues are really impeded by that portion of the Sunshine Law that doesn't allow us to speak to more than one attorney at a time, one authority member at a time. The other thing that we raised in the bill is that at some point, we as a group are being asked to help solve a very emotional and hot topic. After talking to Anthony Noy and others, we arrived at, I guess, the conclusion that artificially limiting discussion among ourselves as we try to problem solve is culturally inappropriate. And I don't pretend to know in depth a lot about Ho'oponopono, but I know that there's no rule in Ho'oponopono that would preclude people from discussing among them, with three of them discussing things. I don't also know of any problem-solving platform that would preclude that. So from a cultural standpoint, as we address some of the issues, as we start to address some of the more emotional, deeply held personal beliefs that people may have different perspectives on, that it's culturally inappropriate for us to be limited in that. So anyway, we have a bill that is in the legislature that tries to seek us to just have that more limited ability to communicate by and among ourselves. So the second report that I wanted to give is that there is a bill, Senate Bill 2297.
Sorry, John, I hate to jump in, but I think as far as the chair's report, I think that these items are marked for, I mean, discussion in executive session as agendized. So I'm not sure if it's more
Yeah.
appropriate to discuss then. Yeah.
Well, see, in terms, and we will discuss them further in terms of some of the legal implications of the bill, et cetera. But I think it's important for us in the spirit of the Sunshine Law, to at least set the platform about general what happened. Because it was videoed anyway, right? So everyone knows what happened. I'm not sure that everybody had the opportunity, and then we can have more specific discussions, because Jordan has some opinions that he's going to give us an executive session about the legal impact of these various measures. So we'll talk about it more in executive session, but to set the platform, I think the idea was, from my standpoint, was to at least allow the public to know, as well as board members that weren't able to view the hearing about the bill. So that's what we would second also, is that there is a bill 2297 that would it's framed as clarifying, but I don't think it's clarifying. I think it's more a new provision that would establish the Board of Land and Natural Resources above us. So any issue that we discuss which touches on conservation lands would then be presented to the Board of Land and Natural Resources after we had passed on it. So basically, in my opinion, we would become an advisory board to the Board of Land and Natural Resources. So I objected to the bill, submitted testimony saying that I believe the intention of Act 255 was to give both voice and voting power to members of this authority. That bill was heard, and on Monday of this week, it was passed out of the Waterland Committee 3-2. With the two who voted in favor of the bill voting with reservations, meaning that they had some concerns about the bill, but nonetheless they were voting to allow the bill to come out of the committee. The bill will now be referred to a joint committee of the Senate Judiciary Committee and the Senate Ways and Means Committee. So anyways, that's the status of what that bill is. So with that, we're going to move on to the next couple of items. And to tell you the truth, items 5, governance, 6, 7, finance, there's nothing to report. Nothing that has transpired. There's a lot happening at the legislature, just so that you know, but in terms of actual putting things together, there's nothing to report. We will discuss certain other items in executive session that deal with our operations. Greg indicated that he was unable to attend today, so we have no update from CMS about what they're doing. I did attend the Mauna Kea Management Board meeting on Tuesday evening, and I learned that, and I raised this with Member Wong Wilson just before this, that they apparently are going to, the Mauna Kea Management Board is going to hire a consultant to relook at, with Kahukumanga assistance, relook at some of the cultural, I guess, guidelines that they have already adopted. So that was the first time on Tuesday night that I understood that they're going to hire a consultant to relook at their cultural practices. So just so you know, I'm suggesting that we may contact Kahukumanga and see whether or not we can do this in a joint way. If they're going to actually hire a consultant, because so it sort of doesn't make, the idea was that they were going to hire a consultant, as I understand it, as I said in the meeting, they were going to hire a consultant, come up with some recommendations, and then pass them off to us, which doesn't seem efficient to me, in the sense that maybe we can do this jointly as we move forward and retain a council consultant and move forward with that. So anyway, we're going to reach out to the council to see whether or not they are open to us working jointly with them. All right,
John?
yes, does,
I assume you're moving on to 9 now.
correct.
And so on 8, I would just remark that I really kind of rely on these updates to at least keep us up to date. And so I appreciate, how busy, Greg is. The idea of having that update, whether it's written or whether it's somebody in his staff that's also providing it. We're only meeting monthly, so the next time we hear something would be 2 months from January. So I would encourage us to actually make sure that we have these things.
Point well taken. Right,
I can communicate that back, Doug, and we can make those arrangements if Greg cannot be with us. Thanks.
thank you. Okay, any other comments on agenda items 5, 6, 7, or 8? If not, I'd like to ask for a motion to allow us to go into executive session. The language of the motion should parrot basically what's written in under 9A, capital A. That if I could get a motion.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I second what Noe has moved, which I assume would include the authority anticipating that pursuant to section 92.582 HRS that will be deliberating on the hiring of an employee, and pursuant to 92A3 to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the authority's power, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities in the following matters. Sub 1, 2, 3, and 4 as is identified on the agenda.
Thank you.
yes, thank you.
That I believe is the motion, correct?
That's actually the second. Noe made the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and so
Okay. Okay, any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Any opposed? If not, we'll go into executive session.
Okay, mahalo, folks. Thank you for coming. We're gonna be going into executive session now for the rest of the meeting. Announcements for you. Next meeting is same second Thursday. That's gonna be March 14th, and then the day before that, in the same room, we're gonna be having a community talk start at 6 p.m. So you folks are welcome to come to both.
what time is the talk time?
6 p.m.
Thank you. Yeah.
Huh?
Fine.
I can assign everybody out there. Horrible, but like that, yeah. Maybe more. Yeah, we all.
Can you scroll back down on that page, please?
This page?
Yeah, it's just I can see that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me see. We can all see on our computers, right? Yep. Okay, I just need to make sure about something.
Hey gang, I'm gonna have to jump out for the last announcement, but mahalo nui. Take care.
Right? I think we're back. During the executive session, we talked about we're briefed by council on the existing OHA versus State of Hawaii lawsuit. We also were briefed on the legal implications of Senate Bill 2297 as well as Senate Bill 2761, so that there was a better understanding of what the lawsuit and the Senate bills reflected. In terms of the executive director hire, we discussed what our next process is, and we may be having a special meeting to add more further information to the public about what our progress is on the executive director hire. So we talked about that personnel matter also. With that, wanted to make several announcements. Our next authority meeting is on March 14th at 10 o'clock. Here again at the DLNR offices. We also, pursuant to one of the permitted interaction groups we had, one of the recommendations of the permitted interaction group is that we should go out into the community and explain what we are doing currently as the authority in terms of standing up the authority and what some of the what we've accomplished so far, as well as what some of the challenges and what needs to still be done. So with that, we're going to have a meeting on March 13th with the community here at the DLNR Dofa Hilo Building, 19 East Kabili Street, at 6 o'clock in the evening, from 6 to 8. And we invite the community to come to listen to a presentation about what we've been doing as the authority, and then to provide and listen to all of you about any suggestions that you have about primarily what we're doing now is standing up a new state agency. So what you believe some other considerations are, or what you suggest we should do in terms of standing up this authority. So anyway, we schedule it at 6 to hopefully allow for better community, more convenient time for community members to attend. So again, that would be on the evening of March 13th. That's between 6 and 8 here at the DLNR Dofa Hilo office building. So with that, I believe those are the announcements that we are making. As I mentioned, just as we came out of executive committee, we may have a special meeting dealing with the executive director position. But that is still up in the air. But anyway, so we will try to make sure that if we have a special meeting, it is appropriately noticed and agendized. Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. And Paul second. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Not. Thank you everybody for all your time and everything that you guys are doing. Meeting adjourned.